give you 8 pieces of advice. Accept these from me لئلا يكون علمك خصمك يوم القيامة. Accept these pieces of advice from me so that your knowledge is not your khasm, your adversary on the day of judgment. I'm going to give you these 8 pieces of advice so that your knowledge is not a witness against you. It is not your adversary. And this is a real threat that Imam al-Ghazali is highlighting with regards to gaining knowledge in general. Knowledge can be a proof for you, a proof against you. Knowledge can be a proof for you, a proof against you. Knowledge can be your enemy, and knowledge can be that which saves you. أول من يسعر بهم النار, the first people who will be enveloped in the flames of hellfire are the ulama, are the people of knowledge. أول من يسعر بهم النار. Subhanallah. Why? Because these are people who learned, and as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hadith says, why did you learn? The person will say, oh, I learned Ya Rabbi so that people would praise you. No, he'll say, no. You learned لِيُقَالَ عَنْكَ كَذَا وَكَذَا. The reason you learned and you studied was that you wanted people to say about you such and such. That, oh, look at his knowledge, look at her knowledge. Oh, look at his knowledge, look at his recitation of the Quran. Look at his whatever it is. You did that لِيُقَالَ عَنْكَ كَذَا وَكَذَا. Your objective was that you wanted it to be said about you that you were such and such. So Allah says, فَقَدْ قِيل. And it was said. People did say those things about you. فَيُؤْخَذْ فَيُقْذَفُ فِي النَّارِ. Allah says, then the Prophet says, this person is then taken and thrust into hellfire. So he's saying, I want to give you, now we spoke about gaining knowledge. But now I need to teach you that which you need to protect the integrity of your learning. So there's the learning you've done. Now I want to make sure that this learning is for you a tremendous benefit and it's not a curse for you. And that's why Sayyidina Umar says, تَعَلَّمُوا الْعِلْمِ وَتَعَلَّمُوا لِلْعِلْمِ الْحِلْمِ. Learn knowledge and learn for your knowledge hilm, akhlaq, forbearance. So it's not sufficient to just learn something, to have knowledge. But you have to acquire the akhlaq, the character traits that ensure that your knowledge is of benefit. That's why he says, تَعَلَّمُوا الْعِلْمِ وَتَعَلَّمُوا لِلْعِلْمِ الْحِلْمِ. Learn knowledge, and for your knowledge gain, learn hilm, forbearance. How to be halim, graceful, how to be someone who is fortified, someone who can actually absorb the hardships and the difficulties, that you are not so taken by the whims of people, the praise of people. That's not what motivates. I'm halim, I'm forbearant. Halim is strength in grace. I'm graceful. I'm not someone who's easy to react. I'm not motivated in a fickle manner by the whims of people and by the emotions of the ocean, but rather I'm halim. I can absorb a lot gracefully. So that's what your knowledge requires. Because you can gain knowledge and then you start to develop ideas of self and what you think you're entitled to or what you think you're owed in terms of respect or standing or recognition, or that you should be put first or whatever the case is. And therefore that knowledge now becomes a curse against the person. And especially if the person makes a tremendous miscalculation, may Allah protect us and forgive us, and we think that knowledge is just something I use to transact in this world, then I end up with a far more egregious loss, and that is the loss of the akhirah. Okay, I transacted with knowledge in the dunya, but I lost my complete akhirah. You know, لِمَ تَقُولُونَ مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ كَبُرَ مَقْتًا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَن تَقُولُوا مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. Allah says in a castigating fashion, He says, why do you say that which you, لِمَ تَقُولُونَ مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. Why do you say that which you do not do? كَبُرَ مَقْتًا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَن تَقُولُوا مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. It is a huge evil for you to say that which you do not do. So he says, I want to give you these 8 pieces of advice so that your knowledge is not your adversary on the day of judgment. فأحدها ألا تناظر أحدا في مسألة ما استطعت لأن فيها آفات كثيرة. He says the first advice that I will give you is that you stay away from argumentation as much as you can. فإن فيها آفات كثيرة. In argumentation, in debate, there are many afat, many evils, many flaws, many sicknesses in argumentation. فإثمها أكبر من نفعها. The wrong, the evil, the harm of argumentation is far greater than its benefit. Sisters, I received 2 text messages about the noise in the back. Sisters who are trying to listen. So can you self-regulate? Thank you. فإثمهما أكبر من نفعها. Whatever benefit you may gain from argumentation or debate, the harm is far greater. And I rarely saw debates except that far greater occurrences of sinfulness occurred rather than whatever benefit. Okay, someone smashed the other person in debate. Although, by the way, you can't even call what happens on the internet debate. That's just like the WWE of argumentation. It's not like it's not actual debate. Like historically, there was a thing called munavara. There was actually a science called ilmul munavara, ilmul bahthi wal munavara, the science of research and argumentation. How do you engage in a genuine academic argumentation between 2 people who are peers, who set the proper terms, and the result is a greater good. Today, it's all just theater. It's how can you mock, insult, belittle, posture in a way that's arrogant and, make sure that you humiliate the person in front of you. That's the whole thing. So it's theater. It's more, that type of than it is an actual fight. It's just the theater of it. But regardless, he's saying munavara in general, debate or argumentation in general, just causes a lot of harm. What are some of the harms of argumentation? Right? The nafs creeps in profoundly in debate. When you're debating someone, you start to become, your nafs gets remarkably excited. And now you feel the need to constantly research and look up so that you can beat your opponent in the debate. I'm not looking for the virtue to be profound, but rather it's about beating my opponent. And I've seen Muslims debate about subject matter, and they think that they are the defenders of the truth, the guardians of the galaxy of Islam, and they are nothing but just super indulgent, myopic, obsessed, possessed, argumentative people who cannot but try to win the debate. No. And they'll go study and research just to win the debate. It's not about the pleasure of Allah. It's about the victory of the debate. That's a huge afa, huge evil. By the way, and this has crept out of, from this world into our world in general. If you notice today, we live in the world of black and white. The absolute brutal reality of with, against. Right? That binary. We live in a binary. There's no more subtlety. There's no more pursuit of truth. It's someone gets entrenched on their side, and then they are an enemy of the other side. And I'm in a battle all the time. It starts as benign as sports, Knicks, Nets, Jets, Giants, Ahli, Zamalek, and then you're Republican, Democrat, this president, this Islamic movement, that Islamic movement, this opinion, that opinion. It's just like, which side do you fall on? Every time you sit with someone, they're trying to synthesize, where do you actually lie? Inta kida wala kida? Inta shaklak? And everyone can fill in the statement. Do you know what I mean? You look like you're one of those. You look like you're from that side. عندك ملامح you have the signs of being on that side. You know what I'm talking about. Everyone has this idea. It's like this obsession with where do you fall? And that has crept into everything we do. Are you a pro or anti? Are you pro-men, anti-men? Are you pro-women, anti-women? Are you, and then the battle of the sexes, men versus women. It's always a battle. It always has to be some binary that people live in. This is one of the greatest afat. And the afa of this, the real disease of this, is that it's most of the time little knowledge that produces this remarkable type of evil in society. It's the great danger of small amounts of knowledge, experience. Well, I was once, and I felt, and I knew, and I went, and I studied, I attended, and so therefore now you come and you're like a hammer. Every time you're in society, just a hammer knocking on people's heads. So he says its harm is far greater than its benefit. إِذْ هِيَ مَنْبَعُ كُلِّ خُلُقٍ ذَمِيمٍ. Subhanallah. Argumentation is the source of all blameworthy character traits. Subhanallah. فَلَا تَنَازَعُوا فَتَفْشَلُوا وَتَذْهَبَ رِيحُكُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, don't fight each other. لَا تَنَازَعُوا فَتَفْشَلُوا. Like you fight with each other, if you start battling each other all the time, you will fail. وَتَذْهَبَ رِيحُكُمْ. Your spirit goes away. Just withers away. Husbands and wives, be careful. Some husbands and wives, all they do is fight all the time. Bicker all the time. Calm down, it's not good. Niza' a lot is not a healthy thing. Fighting between siblings, fighting between friends, fighting, yelling, screaming, arguing all the time, making that your default setting, what does it do? That niza', that type of ugly tension, it corrodes. فَتَفْشَلُوا وَتَذْهَبَ رِيحُكُمْ. اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, remember the blessing of Allah upon you إذ كنتم أعداء, when you were enemies. That was Allah highlighting that you guys were ardent enemies. Talk about, the binary of with against. You have Aus and Khazraj. Aus and Khazraj were two perpetually warring tribes in Medina. In Medina. Perpetually warring tribes. And Subhan al-Khaliq, no Arab from the peninsula could have ever fathomed that these two peoples would ever be united. اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم. Then Allah created ulfa. He brought ilaf to your hearts, i.e. He bound your hearts. He brought familiarity to your hearts, with one another. So there was this massive distance between us, and then we had ta'aluf, we felt intimately connected and close. فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ, and by His ni'mah, by His blessing, you became brothers. So we have to take it upon us to realize that argumentation is not good. When we sit there, every single time there's a discussion between people, it's a debate. It's an argumentative debate because it becomes a battle of wills. There's a reason why there's a hierarchy in society in general. Hierarchy ensures limited amounts of debate because when you have authorities, khalas, you can have shura, but we're not going to battle each other's wills every time we're going to try to figure something out. It doesn't work. If you don't have Shaykh al-Tanani in the masjid as a senior imam, then if there's 2-3 imams at the level of Shaykh al-Tanani, what happens? Chaos. You have to have one Shaykh who's the senior. We can have Shaykh Usama, Shaykh Ismail, Shaykh all the, may Allah bless all the mashayikh, but you can only have one authority. You can only have one president. If you have 2 presidents, what happens? Chaos. It's going to be a battle of wills every time. You cannot have equal authorities all the time present, debating every space. You can't have it in a school system. You can't have it at work. You can't have it you can't have it in the home. It just doesn't work. But the problem is, we have defaulted to a battle of wills, an argumentative style of everything has to be negotiated through debate. Okay, your opinion versus my opinion, let's debate. I know people that the only way they can actually have a conversation is when they call their therapist. I'm not joking. I'm not joking at all. I know there are people I'm in their lives. They cannot have a functional conversation except that there has to be a third party there. خلاص, everything's a constant like فَلَا تَنَازَعُوا فَتَفْشَلُوا. It's just this endless niza'. What is it called? Fashal. Causes complete harm. So he said, subhanAllah, he said this niza', this constant debating between people and fighting and arguing, مَنْبَعُ كُلِّ خُلُقٍ ذَمِيمٍ. It's the source of all blameworthy traits. كَالرِّيَاء. Number one, he says, like arrogance. وَالْحَسَدْ, envy. وَالْكِبْرِ, haughtiness. وَالْحِقْدِ, hatred. وَالْعَدَاوَةِ, enmity. وَالْمُبَاهَاةِ, right? Vainglory, to always be feeling like I have to present myself, posturing in this faulty way, like I have to always be engaged in this disposition of posturing myself as, look at what I have done, look at what I destroyed this person, I won the argument, I went head to head, I smashed her boy. You know, that kind of nonsense. Smashed. Every argument, I smashed them. That nonsense. So he says, these are all the diseases of the heart. Riya, hasad, kibr, hiqd, adawa, mubaha. All this comes out of fighting, arguing all the time. It's not an objective. Fighting and debating is not an objective. All the time, it's not. That's why you have to unplug from a religious discourse that's like constructed in a fight. You know, there's people who just think, it's like, unfortunately, if you're consuming a lot of online Islamic theatrical content on social media, it's just this endless debate. Whether it's like Muslim, non-Muslim, and put whatever non-Muslim, or it's like Salafi, Sufi, you know, this obsession with like parties. Who's this? You know, oh my God, let me, my response to the mubtadi'een on the other side of the world. Let me respond to the bid'ah, you know? And you sit there and you have to like become possessed by all the factions, the religious factions, and then your duty, you think that your religious objective in life is to respond to other people from persuasions, as if that's deen. That's not tadayyun. That's not Islam. That's not living a life of Islam. That's you deciding that you are somehow the qadi al-khuda, the judge of like all judges, to sit there on the internet, and your objective in Islam is to decipher truth versus falsehood. Do you know how many times I've been in talks or durus over the years, khutab, all over the world, and I cannot count the number of times where someone who's listening to a dars or khatira or khutbah, they're not listening to listen to a dars or khutbah or khatira. They're like a political fact-checking me. بارك الله فيكم يا شيخ ولكن الحديث ارحمني يا عم. Go ahead, what do you want to say? So الحديث هذا, I googled it while you were in the khutbah. كتر خير. You googled. Yes. Who taught you this ridiculous behavior? To sit there in a dars, a muhadra, in a khutbah, and to fact check and Google. I don't care about Google. Google to me is the Dajjal. I don't know where you're taking your knowledge from. Why would I take knowledge? You're telling me Google as if that's authoritative knowledge. But this habit, this behavior of sitting there and thinking that everything's a debate, everything's a fight, everything's me having to figure out how you're making mistakes, fault finding. لا تجسسوا, لا تحسسوا. That's not what we do. We don't look for faults. We don't look for mistakes. That's not our that obsession is a sick obsession. That's not prophetic. التمس لأخيك 70 عذرا. Give 70 excuses. Don't sit there fact finding and then especially the worst thing is that you'll have the average person who's objectively an ignoramus, who doesn't know what they're talking about, thinking they can fact check. Akhi, you have no idea what you're. It's like Imam Abu Hanifa one time, he was sitting in his majlis and he had his feet out with his students. So someone came and this person who walked in had like a big beard and they looked like someone of jah. So Imam Abu Hanifa put his feet in, like, oh, I have to, mashallah, this guy looks serious. He had like a hue to him. I have to take him serious. The guy starts talking. Abu Hanifa quickly realizes this guy has no idea what he's talking about. So he's like, أَنَا الْأَوَانَ أَنْ يَمُدَّ أَبَا حَنِيفَ رِجْلَيْهِ. It's like, it's time for Abu Hanifa to put his legs right back out. I brought my legs in عشان اديله مقام. No, خد يا عم رجلي. انت هتقرفني. So subhanAllah, all these, like the whole idea that, and this is the problem with little knowledge, once again, it's the disease of knowledge. That I think, no, hold on, Sheikh. I was on the internet, I heard a clip where the Sheikh was talking about this hadith you just mentioned, and he said it's weak. So you shouldn't, What does that mean to you? What does that mean to me? What does that mean to the ummah of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? You don't know, you have no idea what you're saying. What do you even know what a weak hadith is? What do you know, what are the implications of weak hadith? What are the usage of weak hadith? This is entire books written about this subject matter. Al-amal bil-hadith al-da'if. This is an entire genre of hadith sciences. We don't understand even the words we're using. We say that hadith da'if, and we think like we've given a deep mindil or something. Like I got the whole thing. No, you got nothing. You don't know what you're talking about. You might as well stop talking. Just listen, learn. Learn a lot more. Absorb. Try to benefit from lessons. You're listening in a khutbah, just listen to the actual dars. Listen to the spirit, the merit of the argument that's being presented. Listen, try to glean lessons that are going to benefit your life. Fact-checking is not going to help you on the day of judgment. Fact-checking does not benefit you on the day of judgment. That's not amal salih. What the good thing is for you, like, is this person who's speaking telling me something beneficial I can meaningfully act upon? Then do that. Whatever the message is, act upon that message. Let the shuyukh fact-check each other. Let them deal with that. That's not your concern. SubhanAllah, I'll be sitting. Do you know how many times I've watched Shaykh Adnani say, okay, we're going to do this or do that. And then he's like, and he gives the merits of what we're going to do. And then someone's like, Bas ya Shaykh, Nabi fa'alha. They start fact-checking the Shaykh. Akhi, either go outside or just follow what the Shaykh has to say. This obsession with like checking and checking and checking. Khalas, this is a Shaykh of repute, of recognition, of respect. People know. This obscene approach to Islam, which is like you have this anxiety around practice. Ya Ham, ihsin al-niyat, tawakkal ala Allah. If you did something good, Rabbana taqabbal. If you did something wrong, may Allah forgive you and move on. Why this like weird anxiety? This is learned behavior, by the way. It's a version of Islam that makes you always fighting with others. We are an ummah who we forgive one another. You know, نتعاون بعضنا مع بعض. We work with one another. And we forgive one another on what we disagree upon. We just say, we disagree upon it. I forgive you, you forgive me, I move on. There's a principle, لا يفسد في الود قضية. Wood is a certain type of love. It's called unconditional love. لا يفسد في الود قضية. When it comes to wood, the unconditional love between us, there's no qadiyya, there's no matter that can corrupt it. Khalas, you're my brother, I'm your brother. We love each other, we're Muslimin. Khalas, okay, you disagree. You say we're blue, I say we're red. Did I say like anything, I don't know, like gang colors or something? I get myself in trouble. I don't know. Be careful, who knows what I'm saying. Any arbitrary thing. Khalas, we disagree on it. We disagree, move on. Every year the Mawlid happens, a'udhu billah, every year. It's the same story. The Mawlid happens. Who's on the Mawlid? Who's on the team Mawlid? Who's team non-Mawlid? I attended a Mawlid. I attended a Mawlid somewhere. And then people came, oh, alhamdulillah, Shaykh, you're on our side. Team Mawlid. I was like, what are you talking about? No, I'm just happy that you're on our side. I was like, whose side is that? Like, this one. I was like, and then I go to the proverbial other side. Shaykh, how could you be there? We thought you were on our side. Wallahi al-azim. Wallahi, I'm not joking. Saw you on the live stream. Oh my God, I was devastated when I saw you there. I thought you were on our side. I was like, I've never lived in the world of Jets versus Giants, Ahli versus Zamalek. I don't believe in that stuff. These are beautiful brothers, beautiful brothers. I don't care if your beard is short or long. I don't care if your jalabiyah is short or long. I love you as my brother. Relax. This unnecessary tension that's created. And now because the problem is, the reason why this is so effective, because the bully tactic of it is what? If you don't toe the right line, you may become typecast. Oh, be careful. He's a Sufi. Be careful. It's nonsense. Wallahi, it's such and people think they're so like they're a big deal about that. It's nonsense. It's complete and utter childish behavior. Sufi, Salafi, this type of superficial, adversarial constructs that we've developed is just idiotic. It really is. It's a shame on us. Alhamdulillah. You know who you should love? Love Ahlul Qibla. Those who say, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. You love Allah. I have a simple question. Do you love Allah? Do you love Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? You want to go to Jannah? Give me a hug. Let's move on with your life. People love to figure out what I am all the time. Everyone's confused. He wears a sibha. He likes to do dhikr. But I saw him at that conference. There's a lot of Salafis there, so I'm confused about him. You know what? Stay confused. I'm a Muslim. I don't care about this nonsense. You can sit there and say all you want and try to figure me out. I'm a Muslim. Yeah, you know what? He reads Imam al-Ghazali, but he also talks about Imam Taymiyyah. I can't figure this guy out. What are you going to do with that one? I'm going to keep you guessing. That's what I'm going to do. Anyway, move on. More important things. نعم لو وقع مسألة بينك وبين شخص أو قوم وكانت إرادتك فيها أن تظهر الحق ولا يضيع جاز البحث لكن لتلك الإرادة علامتان. He says, now, okay, if your genuine pursuit behind debate is the pursuit of truth, genuinely now, and you want to pursue truth for the sake of that, then research, jaz al-bahth, he says. Research is jaiz, is acceptable. But لكن لتلك الإرادة علامتان. For that genuine desire of truth, there are two alamat, two signs to know that if you're really seeking the truth. He says, إحداهما ألا تفرق بين أن ينكشف الحق على لسانك أو على لسان غيرك. If your desire is the truth, then you don't care who the truth comes from. If it comes from you or comes from someone else, as long as the truth is known, that's what you care about. Then that means that's one sign that you are really sincere in your pursuit. والثانية أن يكون البحث في الخلاء أحب إليك من أن يكون في الملأ. Subhanallah. And he says now, see, he's saying that now your research, your bahth, is that it's more preferable for you that this research is done in behind the scenes, not in the open. Because you want the truth to prevail. Right? Imam al-Shafi'i would say every night, there is not one time I came into any discussion except that I pray to Allah that the truth will come on the tongue of my brother who's in front of me. I would always hope that the truth came through them, not through me. And the reason they prefer the hidden, because why? Sincere. I just want the truth to be known. But when you know what happens when you become like Team X versus Team Y? It's the arrogance of it, but you guess what else happens? You do a lot of backbiting. Do you know how many times people talk about people, right, shuyukh and otherwise, behind their backs all the time? And the problem is our community is like a leaky faucet. There's cracks in the seal, so you find out. Sheikh, I'm just sorry to tell you this, but I was sitting somewhere and they said it and she said and he said and what's It's a disease. All of this is gossip and disease. Why? Because you're consumed by something that's irrelevant. It's not helping me. But if you're sincere about the pursuit of truth, then sit down and pursue the truth. And do it quietly. And realize that the likelihood that your opinion is that the likelihood it's wrong. And you don't know. You have everything to learn. Imam al-Shafi'i, and I can attest to this, and I'm not claiming to be a person of knowledge in any... May Allah accept whatever it is. I try to study and grant me more, Ya Rabb, and forgive my shortcomings. Imam al-Shafi'i, he said, كُلَّمَا ازَّدْتُ عِلْمًا بِجَهْلِ. Whenever I increase in knowledge, I increase the knowledge of my ignorance. I will personally attest to this in my humble, when I was flying back from Egypt, coming back to the US after 7.5 years of studying in Egypt, I remember thinking to myself, Wallahi al-Azim, I'll never forget, I was on the plane, I'm like, wait, hold on, what are you going to go back and do? You don't know anything. I've been studying nonstop for 7.5 years. I was like, I don't feel like I know much. And it's true, the more you go beneath the surface of our tradition, it's beyond vast. That's why when people speak with such certainty, I cringe, because when you have some familiarity with the depth and breadth of our tradition, akhi, calm down, relax. You're too opinionated. You're too categorical. You're too certain. I can present you endless of opinions that show that what your categorical opinion is not categorical at all. There's plenty of difference of opinion on the point that you're mentioning. All the controversial points that people like to, bring up in society. We spoke about the Mawlid recently. Any of them. The difference of opinion have been there forever. Relax. And stop being possessed by an idea that I have to be loyal to my crew, my people. Because if I'm not, they're gonna shame me. Don't listen to that sheikh. When I hear that this happens in our community, I'm disgusted, by the way. And it happens more often than you think. Don't go listen to Sheikh Shadi. Don't listen to Sheikh Yasir. Don't listen. I've heard this comment all the time. There was brothers who are attending some of our majalis. They went and sat with some masakeen. I perceive them to be masakeen. Hey, by the way, brother / imam / sheikh / hujjatul Islam, sheikhul Islam, because these people, they're usually like not just a brother, they're everything, every title you want. They say, oh, by the way, I was attending the majlis of Sheikh so-and-so. No, akhi, no. There's some questionable matters of his, balash. Akhi, taqillah, you're going to be, are you crazy? Are you crazy? You're going to stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala having deprived someone of khair. You don't know what you're doing. Stop talking. Let people come to me night and day. I'm going to attend this seminary. I'm listening to this lecture series from this sheikh. I'll never tell someone, don't listen. Say, Rabbina yawafak, Rabbina yabarak feek. Even if I disagree with these shuyukh. Someone's coming to me trying to do khair, and they're masakeen. I'm going to say, don't listen to this, don't listen to this, don't listen to this. So who am I supposed to listen to? Oh, shocker, you. There's no one else to listen to. Well, that's what happens. Everyone who follows one of these cult leaders, and I call them cult leaders, because they don't want you to listen to anyone else but them. It's a cult. Khalas. Everyone else is kukha, and I'm the... A'udhu billah, this is a disease. Huh? كوخة دي بتاعتنا ما دي مش كل حاجة لكل حد يعني عشان بس ما حدش يزعل مني. أنا بحب المصريين فين اللي لا بس عايز أنا مصري by the way شرقاوي ها والله أم فلسطيني والله أنا فلسطيني في القلب والروح بس بابا من الشرقية. طيب, was that clapping for me? I don't know. There's some Egyptian women in the back. اوعى. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. So he says, number one, your concern is the actual truth to be known. والثانية أن يكون subhanallah, I want to tell you something about knowing the truth. Sheikh Usama, a few days ago, we mentioned one sheikh's name that we both are mutually studied with, is Sheikh Abdul Sabur Shaheen. Sheikh Abdul Sabur, this man is an ayah min ayatillah, just so that you appreciate what scholarship looks like. This man is one of the great Maliki scholars of Egypt. Truly a magnificent scholar in Maliki law, as well as other disciplines. Magnificent in lugha, magnificent in ilm al-aqaid, and just amazing in so many ways. When he reached the age of 84, he said, I think now I have some malaka, some mastery of the Maliki madhab. Let me start studying the Shafi'i madhab. I know this man. This is a man that's alive, fil matariya. I know this human being. But he lost his eyesight in his elder age. So his students would record the Shafi'i books for him. In his 80s, from 8 a.m. to 12 o'clock noon, he'd study the Shafi'i madhab. And he's sheikh everywhere he goes. Sheikh Abdul Sabur, tfaddal, he's like someone mu'ammam, muhtaram, maqbul, like he's someone that all the shuyukh of Al-Azhar know and respect and revere. But part of his adab, a part of his tarbiyah is that, okay, I think I understand a little bit of the Maliki madhab after studying and teaching it for over 60 years. Let me start doing the Shafi'i madhab. That's ilm. That's why I'm saying the theater and the nonsense and the stuff on the internet and the Salafi, Sufi and all this stuff that just is such a waste of time. It's so draining. These social media characters who are just WWE stars, who are exhausting the ummah with their theatrics and their like belligerence and their offensive way of speaking, and everyone and their kids, and they're not even ulama or shuyukh. They just became a da'i. I don't even know what that means anymore. Like, what do you do for a living? I'm a da'i ilallah. Akhi, go home, man. Go home. Get another, like, this is not a career. This is not a job. Start trying to earn. Everyone who thinks now they should bear 2 words on the internet calling to the way of Allah, you're causing so much more harm than benefit. Honestly, a lot of them are causing so much more harm than benefit. I'm telling you now, if you are part of this cadre who are just listening to me, I'm saying if you want to learn Islam, get off stop listening to these characters. That's not where you learn. Don't get off of their feeds, don't consume that content. Find ulama who can actually sit down with you and teach you books and teach you the usul, the principles of our tradition. Teach you the Quran, ulum al-Quran, hadith, ulum al-hadith, usul al-fiqh. Teach you actual sciences that will empower you to become a man of integrity like Sheikh Abdul Sabur, who feels like so humble. By the way, you listen to this man talk. I attend a tafsir class with him every Thursday, by the way. It's a private class just for students of knowledge. This man talks like he's reading a book. Like he's doing tafsir Surat Yusuf. He's blind, or he's become blind now. Everything that's just coming to his tafsir that he's read over the many years. And they come to him seamlessly. And he can dissect the ayah linguistically, historically, any legal, like ayatul ahkam, ahadithul ahkam, just distill them. You put someone like him on the internet, it's like a whale going into a pool. Like everything else just will splatter away, and he'll the only thing that will remain is an actual scholar. I'm just telling you that these people exist, so you don't think that, oh, who's my favorite Muslim character on the internet that I follow. I'm not dismissing all of them. Some of them are good brothers. I believe someone like Sheikh Umar Sayban is a good man. May Allah protect him and bless him. Someone that I love and respect personally. People like him, inshallah, you can benefit, get inspiration from him. But the internet is something you take little from. Take little and move on. If you want to study now, if you want to study and learn, I would encourage you to find someone like, guess what, in your own community, Sheikh Usama. Sheikh Usama teaches classes all the time. Ulum classes in Masjid ICPC. Right? Go spend time with Sheikh Usama. You want to study Quran, you want to study fiqh, you want to study actual sciences, go sit with Sheikh Usama. I mean that seriously. Like I'm not telling you like people, because the next question is, where do I go to study? Right here. ICPC, you don't have to go anywhere else. Bifadlillahi ta'ala. By the way, Sheikh Usama, I know he said he's younger than me and he looks up to me as his older brother. Alhamdulillah, he's a blessing. I've spent a lot of quality time with him. MashaAllah, that man, he took studying very seriously. May Allah protect him. People don't appreciate the fact that he's actually someone who's very, like he's extremely skilled in ilm al-qira'at. He knows the 10 qira'at of Quran, the 10, recitations of the Quran. I remember, subhanAllah, when he told me, the sheikh, my muhafiz sheikh is telling me, should I do this? He says, you have the potential, should I do it? I said, listen, Sheikh Usama, if you don't do it, I'm not going to do it. Because that's not my forte, right? MashaAllah, he has a knack for those types of disciplines. And for you, we don't, how many in New Jersey do we have that have this type of skill set? Bismillah. So genuine, mashallah, scholarly in the Shafi'i madhab. Mashallah, genuinely someone who took a lot of effort in studying the Shafi'i madhab. And I watched him study. I know him very well. I know what he's about. So I'm just highlighting the fact that you can actually study with and Sheikh Usama is not some clout chaser, He's not on the internet trying to get followers and subscribers. I don't even think if he tried, Sheikh Usama, it's such a blessing. I don't even, he's too busy doing khatamat of the Quran in Ramadan to be on the internet wasting his time. You know what I mean? The guy, mashallah, probably did 15 khatmas already. He's a tank, mashallah. May Allah protect him. And I mean this is not he's someone that I love sincerely as a good Muslim brother who actually took studying Islam very seriously. And he has the adab of someone who took Islam from the scholars who have adab. He really does have it. He's not arrogant in his knowledge. He's not using his knowledge as a weapon. He's not fighting with people. He's not, lamb-based. He's not on the mimbar mocking other Muslimin and insulting. You'll never find him do any of that nonsense. I'm kind of locking in on an example of someone of what scholarship actually looks and feels like, which is diametrically opposed to the nonsense online. Is this point clear? واسمع. So then he says, واسمع أني أذكر لك ها هنا فائدة واعلم أن السؤال عن المشكلات عرض مرض القلب إلى الطبيب والجواب له سعي لإصلاح مرضه. He says the question about problems, about mushkilat, is something that requires that you present the illness to the doctor, إلى الطبيب. وَالْجَوَابُ لَهُ سَعْيٌ لِإِصْلَاحِ مَرَضِهِ. You have to understand that a mushkila, a problem, a confusion, whatever it is like an illness that has to be taken to the tabib, the doctor. Imam al-Ghazali is highlighting a simple fact, which is two people arguing all the time about what is and what should be, what shouldn't be, and all that kind of stuff. When it becomes a battle of wills, if none of you are doctors, what are you going to end up with? Chaos. We saw this in so many public debates, public health debates, a lot of chaos. So if you understand that a mushkila is like a marad that requires a doctor, a medical doctor, then you take your illness to the tabib, to the doctor. You find the specialists who will actually give you the right diagnosis. Because there's some debates that people come to you, and you may be the actual doctor, and you say, that is unnecessary. We spoke about this yesterday in terms of Imam al-Ghazali talking about unnecessary questions. Unnecessary questions that actually harm you, don't benefit you. So there's certain questions that there's a certain line of questioning or a certain type of exploration when you tell someone, this is not good for you, move on. هذا لا ينبني عليه عمل. So you go to the doctor to help you, you don't actually have a problem. I've had people come and schedule time to sit down with me, and they just decided that they developed a curiosity about one specific issue. When does the time of Maghrib come in? I remember I had this one incident, this brother who literally knew nothing about the religion, but for some reason he went down the rabbit hole of what time does Maghrib technically start. And he came in with his notes, like that he had jumbled from the internet, and he's sitting there like, and I'm like, when does Maghrib? I said, Maghrib starts with sunset. And then he's like, no, but if you see technically, and I read and looked, I was like, Akhi, and I think he was actually wearing a chain, if I don't recall. I mean, it's just my memory. Like, okay, why is this your concern? Like, why are you so worried about this? Out of everything, like, do you pray? Do you pray 5 times a day? Do you fast? Like, why are you so curious about this subject matter? And why are you so possessed by it? This is not productive for you. Like, you need to actually empower people in your life who are going to help you focus your energy. You go in, try to do research because you heard about some debate online. Now you're going to try to find your own research on the subject. Do you understand that there's actual knowledge that is obligatory for you to know? If you don't know, you're athim. There's something called fardul ayn. There's something called that which is individually obligatory upon every person to know. The average Muslim has never studied how to make wudu properly, by the way. Have you studied your fardul ayn of tahara? Have you studied your fardul ayn of salah? That's a fard ayn. That means you have an obligation to study and learn how to do tahara properly, i.e. wudu and ghusl. You have an obligation to study how to do salah correctly. You can't just say, I pray the way my mommy or daddy prays. You actually have to learn it yourself now. Because what if they didn't know better? I know plenty of people who until today, they're grown people, they don't know how to do salatul sahu. They don't know how to understand, like they don't do sajdatul sahu. They don't know if they make a mistake, how to properly correct it. That's obligatory knowledge you have to know. So what are you busying I'm busying myself with, it's like the person wants to study for their final exam, and they start getting curious about like how engines work. You have a math test tomorrow. What are you doing like studying how fuel injection works? Get back into your... That's like completely frivolous knowledge. You have to study, your test is tomorrow. By the way, if you're in business, you have an obligation to study. You have it's a fard ayn to study fiqh al-mu'amalat, the law of transactional law, and so on. So you have to go to the that's why having teachers and mentors who can actually guide you and you empower them to guide you can help focus your efforts and your energy. And he says, وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْجَاهِلِينَ الْمَرْضَى قُلُوبُهُمْ. He says the jahilin are those whose hearts are sick. The juhal are those whose hearts are sick. And the alim, the scholar, is the tabib, is the doctor for the jahil. وَالْعَالِمُ النَّاقِصُ لَا يُحْسِنُ الْمُعَالَجَةِ. Subhanallah. And the deficient teacher or scholar does not know how to remedy. وَالْعَالِمُ الْكَامِلُ لَا يُعَالِجُ كُلَّ مَرِيضٍ. And the true scholar is not someone who tries to remedy every person who's sick. Because like Imam Malik once, when he was Imam al-Dunya, he was yusharu ilayhi bil-banan. People would come to him from all across the world. At that time, min aqsa al-gharb. Aqsa al-gharb was where Morocco is today. That was the furthest reaches of the West. And they would travel and they would gather their questions and they would travel weeks and months to get to Imam Malik. He was Imam Darul Hijrah, the Imam of Medina. And they would come to him and they would, having traveled months, and said, "Ya Imam, we have 40 questions for you." They would present these 40 questions. And question 1, he would say, "La adri, Allahu alam." Question 2, "La adri, Allahu alam." Question 3, "La adri, Allahu alam." Question 4, question 5, question 6, question 7, question 8. Out of 40 questions, he answers 6. So these people are distraught. They said, what am I supposed to go back to my people and tell them? What am I supposed to go back and tell to my people and tell them? He says, go back to your people and tell them, Al-Imam Malik la yadri. Just to go back to your people and tell them, Imam Malik doesn't know. That's a true scholar. Al-Alim al-Naqis, 40 out of 40. He would, like the deficient scholar would have answered 40 out of 40 without hesitation. He would have answered 41 out of 40. May Allah forgive us. بل يعالج من يرجو فيه قبول المعالجة والصلاح. He says it's not just a matter of like whether you know to answer or not, but sometimes trying to do ilaj to remedy someone who doesn't want to be remedied or fixed becomes itself a futile and wasteful activity. So there's a point where you say, وَإِذَا خَطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. خلاص أنت الكبير يا عم أنا صفر. فإذا كانت العلة مزمنة أو عقيما لا تقبل العلاج فحذاقه الطبيب فيه أن يقول هذا لا يقبل العلاج فلا تشغل فيه بمداواته لأن فيه تضييع العمر. There's certain things that when you realize this situation, this case is terminal, there's no remedy, there's no treatment, then you stop treatment. Why? Because it becomes futile and you'll waste your life. I'm telling you, anyone who likes to debate for the sake of debating and they will exhaust you in debate and they'll drag you into debates and they'll consume you in debates, Akhi, salam, I'm done with this. I don't talk about this stuff. Shukran. ثم اعلم أن مرض الجهل على 4 أنواع. He says, know that the ailment of ignorance of 4 types. أحدها يقبل العلاج والباقي لا يقبل. There's only one type of ignorance that accepts treatment, remedy, and the rest do not. أما الذي لا يقبل, as for those that do not accept treatment, meaning cannot be treated, فأحدها, the first one is من كان سؤاله واعتراضه عن حسد وبغض, is the one whose question is a function of envy and in dislike or hatred. I'm asking you because I want to check you. I'm asking you because I want to fault find. I'm asking you because I want to mock you. I'm asking you because I'm envious of what you have. I want to be able to say, you know nothing. See, you see this guy that you're impressed by? Psh, I asked him a few questions. He doesn't know anything. This person, their jahl cannot be remedied, he's saying. Because khalas, their motivation, like, by the way, I'll just empower you with some language to explain this type of a jahl. The three types of jahl that he's going to articulate that cannot be remedied, they are all a representation of what is known as jahl murakkab. This is good terminology for you to learn. Jahl murakkab. Jahl murakkab is translated as compounded ignorance. There's two types of ignorance. Jahl basit, there's simple ignorance, and there's compounded ignorance. Jahl basit is if I were to say, what's behind this wall? You say, I don't know. That's jahl basit. That's simple ignorance. That's the good type of ignorance. Why? Because if you tell me I don't know, I can say, oh, behind this wall is a bed, whatever. That type of person you can teach. But if I say to you, what's behind this wall, but now something kicks in, and you don't want to seem like you don't know, and you feel the anxiety of say, I remember there's a closet back there. Okay, now you're misleading, you're misguiding. Some other factors are dictating your answer. So you have compounded ignorance. Compounded ignorance means that you are ignorant of the fact that you're ignorant, or that you're arrogant in your ignorance. It's both types. So there's people who think they know. So there's someone who says, oh no, wallahi, there's an elephant back there. And I'm not joking. Like I know, I passed by. Okay, this person really believes there's an elephant, but they're ignorant of their ignorance. But then there are those who have diseased type of ignorance, which is, I don't want to show that I'm ignorant. I don't want to show that I don't know, so I give a false answer. I sit there and take them down a path just to deceive them. So one of my shuyukh, he said, when he was teaching us jahl murakkab and jahl basit, he says, بصوا, انت هترجعوا بلادكم. You're going to go back to your homes, your lands. If you can accomplish one thing, هتكون عملت المستحيل. You would have done the impossible. So what is that? He said, if you can just bring people down from compounded ignorance to simple ignorance. If you can just accomplish the goal of getting people from the place of jahl murakkab down to jahl basit, you would have done a remarkable feat. Why is that so great? Because if the community collectively can come to a point of just saying, I don't know, la adri, then that community can learn. But if everyone's sitting in front of Sheikh Qatanani or Sheikh Usama, as they're giving talks and khutab, everyone's an expert. لا لا ما الشيخ هذا ما تسمع. أنا شفت كليب على اليوتيوب حكى غير هيك. I watched a clip on YouTube that was different from this. Right? That person cannot be taught anything. Because they're always going to be mushattad. They're always going to be scatterbrained by the subjectivity of opinions. That opinion I like, that opinion I like. That's just hawa at that point. It's desire. But if the community collectively, if we all dispose ourselves to say, I don't know, then we actually have a chance to learn something. That's why the poet says, تعلموا لا أدري ولا تتعلم أدري. Learn to say I don't know, and don't learn to say I know. فإن قلت لا أدري علموك حتى تدري. If you say I don't know, they will teach you until you know. وإن قلت أدري سألوك وجهلوك حتى لا تدري. But if you say I know, then they will ask you and they will expose your ignorance until you genuinely will never know. Because if I say I know and I have no idea what I'm talking about, we deal with this with some of our children. Some of them. I know about. Yabni, please irhamni. I know you don't know. Just relax. Put the tension down. You don't need to do this debate right now. It's okay that you don't know. Let me teach you. No, Baba, I know. It's exhausting. That means what? You relent. If any of you kids do this with your parents, may Allah forgive you. Right? Irham. Be merciful with your parents. Let them teach you something. You're not going to lose anything. Silencing the people around you is not going to result in anything but ignorance. There's no virtue and just posturing as if you know all the time. There's nothing virtuous about that. Why? Because everyone can see that you don't know. There's nothing that is more easily sniffed out than an ignoramus. You see this on the internet today. There's like some of these podcasters that just, I don't know why they even have a platform. And you're asking yourself all day, why does this person even talk? But they think they're like, firing on all cylinders of brilliance. But the ignorance is evident. So learn to say, I don't know. Because otherwise, those types of ignorances, they cannot be remedied. By the way, the worst thing you can do is that if you unknowingly become an ignoramus who has compounded ignorance, then people give up on trying to even teach you or talk to you about anything. Aren't there these people in our proverbial lives that you'll say, don't even bother with them? Don't even bother with her? Don't even bother with him? In ear, one out the other. This, nothing can go through. You can't get anything through their head. They won't listen. That person is terminally ill in this regard. They cannot be helped. You can give them nasiha for the sake of Allah. But, so beware of being, and listen, one of the things that, because sometimes we're so ignorant of this fact, we're so oblivious, you have to empower people around you, say, hey, listen, am I one of these people? And get ready for some hard-hitting feedback. It's going to hurt you, but just because most of us need to hear, yeah, you kind of are that person. Huh? Me? No. There's no one more open-minded than I am. You really empower people to be, al-mu'minu mir'ati akhi. The believer is the mirror of the believer. And Sayyidina Umar would say, Rahim Allahu mra'an ahda ilayya uyubi. May Allah's mercy be upon someone who gifted me my shortcomings. So empower, because if I walk around as a foolish ignoramus with the disease of compounded ignorance, I'm going to cause so much harm in my personal life, my family life. No one can benefit who's in my orbit. So he says, فأحدها, we said that's number one. Number two, فكلما نجيبه بأحسن الجواب وأفصحه وأوضحه فلا يزيد له ذلك إلا بغضا وعداوة وحسدا. So if someone who has a diseased heart hears the truth, and let's say your truth or the message that you're delivering is very compelling, the argument is sound, all that does for the diseased heart is increase their disease. Okay, someone presented you with a very viable, meaningful, well-constructed argument that now you really don't have an answer for. But your sickness in the heart, your hatred for the person or their opinion, the envy, whatever it is here, you hearing that will only increase in your dislike for that person, in your misguidance. Because no. I just flat out reject. I don't need to accept. Okay, then I'm only fortifying and fomenting my ignorance even further. فالطريق أن لا تشتغل بجوابه فقد قيل. He says قد قيل كل العداوة قد ترجى إزالتها إلا عداوة من عاداك عن حسد. All types of illnesses ترجى إزالتها. You hope that it will be removed. Another poet says لكل داء دواء يستطب بها إلا الحماقة أعدت من يداويها. He says every illness has a medicine that can remedy it, except stupidity. If you try to remedy stupidity, you become stupid. إلا الحماقة. Subhanallah. Giving da'wah, shuf, very good, barakallahu feekum. Giving da'wah is a function of balagh, of conveying the message, and calling to the way of Allah with wisdom and good word. There is a point when, if the back and forth it comes out of وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ, because that's what Allah commands, debate with that which is excellent and beautiful, and now it just becomes a mudslinging match in a battle of wills and egos. Now as we're entering into a toxic space, that's when you back out. Khalas. You've conveyed the message, you've tried to relay in the best of wisdom and methods and means. You continue to do that with your loved ones and your family members. Try to be, charitable with your guidance or what you know in a loving, meaningful, constructive way. But the world that we're talking about is when it becomes this, and it's just toxic and it's destructive, and we're now dealing with, because listen, there are many people who need guidance. I can't rack my brain and waste my life on this one person who's just not willing to hear anything I have to say. I'm not saying you quote unquote give up on them. No, you make dua for them. The Prophet ﷺ didn't give up on people. It's just a matter of knowing where to deploy my resources, exert my efforts and my energies and my time. So you make dua for them. Maybe you say, you know what, let's table this one, I'm going to loop back to you, okay? Like for example, you're doing your homework, question number 3 is hanging you up. I'm going to come back to 3, let me go to 4, 4, 5 work, 6 hangs up. Okay, maybe you get to 9, you finish, you come back to 3, something like that. فينبغي أن تعرض عنه وتتركه مع مرضه قال الله تعالى فأعرض عمن تولى عن ذكرنا ولم يرد إلا الحياة الدنيا. See, subhanAllah, to your point, brother, this ayah is very relevant. Surah Al-Najm, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَأَعْرِضْ عَمَّنْ تَوَلَّى عَنْ ذِكْرِنَا. Those who are insisting on turning their backs on our remembrance, فَأَعْرِضْ عَنْهُ. Turn away from them. Like, don't obsess over them. Don't try to insist that they have to be guided. And you feel like, oh my God, if they don't get guided. No, فَأَعْرِضْ عَنْهُم. والحسود بكل ما يقول ويفعل يوقد النار في زرع علمه الحسد يأكل الحسنات كما تأكل النار الحطب. Envy, he's highlighting one of the most destructive elements of knowledge is envy. The worst thing you can do is become envious of someone that Allah has given more knowledge to. It's the worst thing you can do. Because envy is nothing, knowledge is nothing other than قسمة ربانية. It's a divine distribution. Allah gave you, He didn't give me. Money, knowledge, relationships, doesn't matter. It's قسمة ربانية. خلاص, I defer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now He's saying, الحسد يأكل الحسنات كما تأكل النار الحطب. Envy eats reward, hasanat, just like fire eats the coal, devours it. So you have your knowledge has some benefit to it. But now all these diseases of the heart start to come around it. What happens? It corrodes all the goodness that was there. You were doing so much good for the sake of Allah. Someone came in that had more than you and they were given preference over you. Envy kicks in. You start to feel angry, hurt, slighted, entitled, bothered, whatever. That's just like what? It's corroding the hasanat. Alhamdulillah. Anyone that you feel any type of feeling or emotion like that, you say, may Allah bless that brother. May Allah increase them. May Allah give them more. It's خلاص من Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Arzaq. What's the objective of this knowledge? For Allah to be pleased with me or for me to have more knowledge? For Allah to be pleased with me. That should be the objective. Ya Rabbi, please leverage my small amount of ilm for the greatest amount of good. And please be pleased with me, Ya Rabbil Alameen. I don't want to be from the ulama who know a lot. Well, what happens? I know too much. I act upon none of it. All that becomes a proof against me. لا حسد في اثنتين. Now, رجل أتاه الله العلم ورجل أتاه الله المال. But this hasad, this hadith of لا حسد إلا في اثنتين, there's no envy except in 2 things. A person who Allah gave ilm, that they're using it to teach. Allah who gave money and they're using it to spend. This is not the hasad of evil envy. Like, this is more in the vein of ghibta. It's a poetic usage, meaning to say, mashallah, Allah gave you money and and I see you spending in the way of Allah. I say, mashallah, I really want to be like this brother. That's ghibta, it's not envy. It's not like, oh my God, how come he got it, I want it. No, it's enticement. I'm inspired to be like this brother. So that's the hasad here. It's a play on words. It's an allegorical type of speech to say, no, you should have good envy of people who are doing good things that you can be like them, inshallah. So you see someone who's teaching and preaching and guiding, you say, Ya Rabbi, not for the sake of anything, I just want to, inshallah, be able to benefit people this way. To have the ability to speak this way, to teach this way, to have this knowledge. Ya Rabbi, please. This is more than just nothing other than attaining the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So with that, inshallah, it's 12:15. We've finished our hour. So we'll conclude here, bi'idhnillah. We still have a few more on ignorance and so on, but we'll conclude that. We'll finish it next year, inshallah. No, next year. You come 1 year from today, inshallah. We'll be on page 138. Ammar, please make a note of this. والثاني أن تكون علته من الحماقة. Man, what a great section. That's a cliffhanger right there. We'll talk about stupidity next year. So, inshallah, next year. But we have our dhikr and fikr classes and gatherings every Thursday, inshallah. So, if all of you who want to continue sitting with us, bi'idhnillah, we have gatherings every Thursday. We teach some wisdoms and we do some beautiful remembrance of Allah in a sound manner, according to the kitab wa sunnah. Yes, brother, question? Oh, by the way, quick point. Our dear brother Mi'raj, he actually, may Allah bless him, brought 20 copies from Imam al-Ghazali's, from Imam al-Ghazali Institute, of the publisher, of the translation of this book. So it's in the bookstore. This is a very nice, I didn't know this translation exists. It's by Mustafa al-Qabbani. He's a really gifted translator. And it has like, it's very nicely done. So it has the Arabic and the English. So I think there's 20 copies in the bookstore. Inshallah, you can grab one from there. Barakallahu feekum. I mean, you have to buy it. You don't just like steal it. Yeah. No, we didn't get to that yet. We still have 3 more ignorances. We have 2 more ignorances that don't accept remedy, and then we'll talk about the one that accepts remedy. Inshallah, we'll cover that in the night of the 23rd next year. Inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. May Allah bless you all. Please keep us in your dua. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us this Ramadan from us. And may this have been ilm nafi'ah. We ask that this was beneficial knowledge. May Allah make this knowledge a proof for us, not against us. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always show us the truth as truth and bless us to follow it. And show us falsehood as falsehood, bless us to stay away from it. Please keep me in your dua, my family, and this masjid, our organization, Prophetic Living, all of what we try to do. Please keep us in your dua, inshallah. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad.